Hey there, Kaylee. Welcome to your personalized instructor video critique. First of all, good job opting in. Hopefully, this will help you do a few final things that could help any points that you might have lost. Just glancing at this, is this Shoreline font? I'm guessing it might be. I've used that one before. I like it a lot. Okay, well, let's take a look at your three-page magazine spread. You mentioned you still need to switch out the images, and so I look forward to seeing what those look like. That'll be fun to see the ones you've taken. These obviously work really well because they have matching kind of color scheme, matching feeling, some kind of cool textural background elements that match the color palette that you have. So hopefully, whatever you decide to do in terms of your own photos, you're able to keep that effect still. I'm wondering if you have experience because this looks super, super professional. I love your contrasting fonts here. This transparent shape in the background, partially overlapping, looks super good. Your pull quote is looking awesome. I like how this is a consistent amount of space on the top and on the sides, which is really good. And then you have technically three fonts here, which is totally fine. You're using them really well. Be sure, oh, no sub because she is a mother. Okay, perfect. So let's just talk about one or two things. Really, the only thing that sticks out to me is that your typeface might be a little bit large. If you make it even one point size smaller, that might free you up to have a little bit more white space. So maybe you can make these columns not come all the way to the bottom, or you could bring them in a little bit so they're not so close to the fold. If you pull those columns into maybe here, you're going to have to watch this size of the box so you don't get down to where you only have one word because you want to make sure you have at least two words on average. But I feel like maybe you need to have a little bit more white space. Looking at your design, that's really the only thing that I think is lacking. You have some awesome contrasting typography, you have strong images, and you have all the elements that are asked for in the minimum expectations, along with a super cool title here, which looks really, really good. Um, I like this blue. Let's see, because she's hungry. Okay, that's just, I mean, you could play around with putting that kind of more vibrant blue here on the titles. You could see, let's see, I think you're supposed to have three subheadings. Right now, you might only have two. So that's one thing to pay attention to. Okay, here's a little widow. So maybe you could rearrange a little bit so you're not having any widows. Take a look at that. This is technically a footnote, so you can go in and make that a little bit smaller. In the paragraph palette, I think. If not, it's in the typeface palette, character palette. You could go up and change that so it's above instead of the whole normal number. Or let's see. Yeah, I was guessing there'll be a few more of these. So those look a little bit weird. There's a number one right here. So just a few tiny things. It doesn't look like you have hyphens turned on. I saw this one, but it's just the way that that's a word that has a dash in it. Okay, so it's looking really, really good. I might make this a tiny bit smaller. My personal opinion is I don't like to draw attention to those because the things that should be drawn attention to are, for example, the pull quote, the subheadings, etc. That can be a little bit smaller. But honestly, it's looking really, really great. I'm loving it. And just keep on working on injecting a little bit more white space. And there are a few ways you can do that, but perhaps making this typeface smaller would be the one I would recommend because it looks a little bit large anyway. That's going to free you up to give you a little bit more room here. And then maybe add in some white space creatively. I probably wouldn't do too much to this one. I might pull the words a little bit away from the edge, might move them in a tiny bit more. But besides that, this page is looking really great. All right, so that's it. Short critique. Great job, Kaelee. I'm looking forward to